Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you know, Ring of Honor features many matches. Athena makes a return to action after, of course, unsuccessfully, successfully, of course, retaining the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, but unsuccessfully gaining the AEW Women's World title. So, you know how that goes. And then, of course, we have wrestlers like Swirl, consisting of John Lee Johnson and Blake Christian. We have Wheeler Yuta, and of course, the main event features a conglomeration, Hologram, and Tomohiro Ishii taking on the premier athletes. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, our final review is TNA. As you know, battle lines are now being drawn for the upcoming pay-per-views, such as, of course, Victory Road and the big one, Bound for Glory. So we are going to see how this is going to go. So this is going to be interesting. I'm sure many of us are excited to see what matches will be announced. So stay tuned for that. And as always, we'll cap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the United Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's call school into session. So, let's begin with Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, as you all know, we are in the aftermath after, of course, this Death Before Dishonor. So let's get started. Now, Athena, as you all know, who's been successful in retaining the ROH Women's Championship against Mina, but unsuccessfully winning the AEW Women's World title. Well, she is back facing someone named Dayami. Now, of course, you probably would guess this match is over right before it started because Athena put her away with that submission move she's been plying, and just like that, Dayami had no choice but to tap out. Our next match, we have Swirl, consistent of Lee Johnson, Blake Christian taking on Thomas Ham and Joe Alonso. So you probably can guess also, much like we saw in the first match, that this was going to go to Swirl's domain, and that's exactly. They even applied that new move where, of course, Blake Christian goes on. They had, of course, what's named Thomas Ham on where they needed him. They applied first the combination on the stomp on the back, and then, of course, the Spicoli driver, I think that's what they call it. And Lee Johnson picked up the win just like that. So, of course, we could generate to say that maybe Swirl could be on their approach to get their hands on the Ring of Honor World Tag Team belts or so. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, our next match, we have Wheeler Yuta taking on Johnny Hungy himself, John Silver of the Dark Order. Now, of course, wherever he goes, the problem is always there by his side. Of course, I'm talking about Marina Shafir. She even gets involved, and not to mention Uno, and of course Ryan Reynolds tries to, of course, not to get involved, but try to intervene. But of course, here comes Jon Moxley to ensure that Wheeler Yuta wins his match, and that's exactly what happened. There was constant, of course, ruckus going on the outside where the seconds are supposed to be. But in the end, Wheeler Yuta walked away with the win thanks to this distraction with the Busaiku knee, a move that, of course, was done by Bryan Danielson. But sooner or later, Wheeler Yuta might have to may pay the consequences for that. So we'll see what happens. Now, last Friday, during Death Before Dishonor, Deonna Purrazzo, as you know, well, Trish Adora felt that Deonna Purrazzo has been overlooking her, but Deonna's like saying, "Girl, I'm not just overlooking you. I'm overlooking everyone," because she is saying that she's gonna walk out as the first ever ROH Women's Pure Champion because she feels that she's the one who started this whole thing and that she should thank her for it. But I'm sure Trish Adora is not going to take that kindly. I mean, I know there's some people who are putting their monies on Deonna Purrazzo. If it was me, I would say the only two people that most likely could wait and go all the way, it's either her, Deonna Purrazzo, or Queen Aminata. So those are two of my picks right there. So we'll see how that rolls. Now, our next match, we have Lance Archer taking on Marcus King and Adam King. So I'm going to presume these brothers, but this whole thing became a 2-on-1 scenario. So, of course, Lance Archer, those who know him, he always drags his opponents out to the ring, and that's exactly what happened. Because, of course, everybody dies. He put both of them away when he applied it. He put one of them in the blackout, and then pinned both of them, and just like that, it was over. Now, the Von Erichs, as you know, well, they're not ashamed that they lost the six-man tag team belt to Shane Taylor Promotions. The one thing that is out of their minds is Sammy Guevara's betrayal when he chose Rush as their tag partner. So it seems now that there's going to be a war with the Von Erichs against Sammy and now his new family, LFI, La Facción Ingobernable. So we'll see how that rolls from there. Now, our next match, we have Spanish Announce Project, Angelico and Serpentico taking on Philly Collins and Marino Tenagali. Hopefully I pronounced it right. But, of course, one thing that was cool, as always, is seeing Angelico applying the Navarro Lock, which is his signature submission move, onto Marino. And just like that, boy, he tapped out. Our next match, we have Jordan Oliver taking on the wrestler, Katsuyori Shibata. Of course, Shibata, we know what he's capable of. If you guys are fans of him, you know that he is the man himself. And of course, he took Jordan Oliver with the PK, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. In our main event, we have the premier athletes, Tony Nese and Arya Daivari, taking on the conglomeration, Hologram and Tomohiro Ishii. But the one thing you don't want to do in a match is get Tomohiro Ishii riled up. If you guys saw what happened last time, Arya Daivari gave him a slap in the ball head, and people were saying, "You effed up, you effed up." And it's true, he did. But of course, as always, that idiot, that weasel, Smart Mark certainly gets involved. But, well, Ishii had enough and just clogged her, and just like that, it was taken over. But in the end, of course, the conglomeration walked out with the victory. So that's all that matters. So we'll see what happens next week. But as of right now, let's move on to our last and final review, and that is, of course, TNA. TNA. As you know, I mentioned battle lines are being drawn for upcoming pay-per-views like Victory Road and Bound for Glory. However, Santino Marella comes out and, of course, addresses what people need to hear. As you know, Trick Williams has been trying to say, I'm not going to I'm not a challenge this belt on the line until 50 days. Well, apparently it's been calculated, so Santino Marella made it official that at Bound for Glory, Trick Williams will defend the championship against Mike Santana. Now, of course, Mike Santana comes out, saying that he may have agreed that he lost the last time, but however, he made a promise that he will bring this belt home no matter what. But he did tell Trick Williams, "Hey, Trick, you can hide from your lawyers and whatever you want to do, but that's not going to last for you. If you don't come to TNA, then I'm coming to your house." So you know for a fact, Trick Williams is going to have his eyes in the back of his head in hopes that he is protected. So we'll see where that goes. Now, Gia Miller talks to Mara Sade and the Hardys. Now, they address the big elephant of the room, of course, is that big dumb idiot, Agent Cyril, for what he did with his despicable act when he clotheslined Mara Sade, a defenseless woman. And not to mention the dumb hands, of course, John, Skylar, and Jason Hart, putting their hands on her, holding her like she is a piece of meat for the target to take her out. But of course, we'll see where that goes from there. Now, Moose had a conversation with Mike Santana, even though we could agree those two will never be best friends. But of course, Moose is telling him, "Look, I didn't get what I wanted to bring this belt back, but you have that opportunity now. Bring that belt home." However, while these two guys were talking, apparently the Benedict Arnold of TNA, I'm talking about AJ Francis, got in their faces. And of course, Moose will love nothing more to get his hands on him, and of course, on Trick Williams. But we'll see how that goes from there. Now, Ryan Menneth, as you probably know, once again with his usual ways, he puts out a promo until Always Ready showed up and took him out. But however, Matt Cardona had a match to deal with Frankie Kazarian, but much of the entire time, Ryan Menneth was trying to get involved himself to ensure this match goes to Frankie Kazarian, and that's exactly what happened. But because of his interference on majority of the time of the match, well, Matt Cardona dropped the ball, and he ended up, of course, on the Fade to Black by Frankie Kazarian, and just like that, it was over. Now, of course, Gia Miller wanted to talk to him, but of course, Frankie Kazarian, being an arrogant ass, it was like saying, "Let me show you how you should have done your job," because he was saying that his goal is the TNA World title. However, he decided, you know what, I'm going after the TNA International Championship because he feels it's been mishandled. But of course, Steve Macklin is not going to like that kindly. Now, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be surprised if this match could happen in Bound for Glory, but we'll see where that goes from there. Now, the Inspiration, as you know, they have one thing in mind, and that mind is, of course, it's the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team belts, and they are sending a direct message to the Elegance brand. Now, speaking of the Elegance brand, as you know, they decided to celebrate the victory by Ash by Elegance, who brought the belt back to TNA, but of course, happy as a clown that she brought the whole thing. But unfortunately, Ash by Elegance had to deal with Masha Slamovich at Victory Road, and then of course, all hell broke loose until we see the Inspiration, Li Ying Lee, and Zaya Brookside crash the party, and then they destroyed a portrait that belongs to Ash by Elegance, and the Elegance brands was being all dramatic about it, like something that, people say they can't let that happen. Now, Mustafa Ali, as you know, him and the Order of Four are giving a final warning to anybody who defied them, especially one particular group, and that is the System. So, as you know, the System are saying that they don't like the fact that they don't want them there, so we'll see where that goes from there. Now, our next match is the TNA Knockouts World title in a #1 contendership. We have Jody Threat, Danny Luna, and Indy Hartwell. Now, the entire #1 contendership gauntlet match that happened 2 weeks ago was a total disaster because of Danny Luna's completely snapped out of nowhere, and this happened. So you probably ask yourselves who's going to walk away, and I think many of you would have agreed that some people were probably aiming for Indy Hartwell because, many people feel back then that WWE dropped the ball on Indy Hartwell or something. I don't know. But Indy, I have to say, she is a potential rising star, in my opinion, and that's exactly what she did when she rolled up Jody Threat and won. However, in the post-match, of course, Danny Luna snapped once again and attacked both Jody Threat and Indy Hartwell. So she just completely went out of her mind. Now, Joe Hendry, as you know, had to address the elephant in the room. And the elephant was last week when he was attacked by Eric Young. And Eric Young said that he's going to cleanse TNA. And he was starting with, of course, Joe Hendry. But Joe Hendry's saying that he wants a piece of him in the match. But, of course, Eric Young said, it's not going to happen. So, okay, how about next week? Santino Marella, make it happen. And, of course, Eric Young is not going to take that kindly for that. But we'll see where it goes. Now, Santino Marella had a nice talk with our current X Division champion, and we're referring to Leon Slater. So, of course, Leon Slater said that he wants to bring back what the X Division used to be. So he said that he will love to have a match against the Rascals individually. But, however, Santino said, I like the fire what you're doing, kid. As you probably need to know, the Rascals are medically cleared. So he said that he's going to make the announcement next week on what the plans are. So I can't wait to see it. Now, our main event is the Order of Four. Tasha Steelz and, of course, the Dumb Hands, Jason Hotch and John Schuyler, taking on Mara Sade and the Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy. Now, of course, things were normal at the beginning. And, of course, the Order of Four are trying to prove that they are now the dominant force in TNA. And, of course, they had to keep an eye on that moron, Agent Zero. But, however, as the old saying goes, you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. He was, of course, ejected out. Which, of course, Agent Zero was not like, hell no, I'm not going nowhere. But John Scott pleaded with him, go, you don't want to disqualify us. Which, of course, was something we could expect coming from Agent Zero. So he pleaded with him to go, and hopefully they could win. But unfortunately, it did not. John Schuyler got his ass handed to him by Mara Sade when she applied a moonsault, and then, of course, a swanton bomb. Now, while, of course, Jeff picked up the win for his teammates, and just like that, they won. However, in the post-match, while Mara Sade and, of course, the Hardys were celebrating, out of nowhere, the former TNA World Tag Team Champions, Nick Bennett and his brother Ryan, attacked both the Hardys. But once again, Mara Sade once again been mistreated by Nick Bennett when he super kicked her. And I'm sure she will love nothing more to get her hands on Nick one way or the other. So we'll see how that rolls up. So let's wait till next week. But as of right now, we're officially done with the reviews. Let's move on to our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin, as always, with upcoming events. Now, we do have GCW updates on this. We have the Rumble on the River that will take place on the 13th in Indianapolis. It was announced the GCW World Title, Effie will defend his championship against Space Jesus, Billy Starks. And then we got the Homecoming LA on the 20th of September at the UCC, the Ukrainian Cultural Center. We have what's his name? Bear Bronson will take on Mance Warner. That's going to be one hell of a match. And then finally, for the Anchorage, Alaska event, the Last Frontier on the 4th of October, Drew Parker will be participating. Now, Action Wrestling with Dean 3 that happens on the 6th of September. It was announced that Wheeler Yuta will be participating, taking on Matt Mako. So I have to say that's going to be a pretty good match. And then, of course, we have MLW Fightland on the 13th of September. The MLW Women's Featherweight Championship will be defended. The Big Kaiju Shoko Nakajima will defend it against fellow Tokyo Pro Wrestling Yuki Kamifuku. So that's going to be one heck of a match. And then, of course, we have the German promotion, West Side Extreme Wrestling, or we know it as XWXW, for the Pro Wrestling Grand Prix on the 29th. It was revealed for for night 2 of the show, Los Tranquilos de Japón, consistent of Tetsuya Naito and Bushi, will be participating. And then finally, this one was a very interesting one for those who love Mina Shirakawa. Well, it was announced that she'll be participating in the CML Grand Prix de Amazonias on the 28th of October. So she'll be making her way to Japan to represent Team World, to Mexico City actually, to participate as part of Team World, which is something we've seen every year. Can't wait to see what she's going to do. For those who don't know, in Mina Shirakawa's earlier, she has done some Mexican wrestling events. I'm not sure if she's fluent in Mexican. That's in Spanish. That's something I don't know, but we'll see how that rolls up. I think that's pretty much it for upcoming events. Let's talk about some developments. Now, many of you know this about Raja Jackson, the son of UFC Rampage Jackson. Well, former WWE superstar David Atunga, who is now an attorney, kind of gave his thoughts about this whole situation with Raja Jackson. He said that Raja Jackson should face potential charges for what he did. Now, there's been a lot of people who are divided. Like, some people say, of course, what David Atunga just said, he should be charged for what he did. Others are like saying that he shouldn't. I mean, look, I see this is delicate, but what happened is he put a guy unconscious. He should answer for what he did. Now, many of you may question about his dad, Rampage Jackson. According to what it was foretold, he's not even talking to his own son. He felt that he shamed the name. And you know what? I don't blame Rampage for not talking to his son or disowning him, however you want to put it. I mean, he had that cut coming. And of course, many of you know this. Danger Pro Wrestling, which is a promotion based out here in San Diego, put him on their upcoming event, but the venue they were going to do apparently banned him, so they found another venue, and he's still on it. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen there, but we'll see. Now, it's been interesting for many of you know this. It's been official. Athena has now reached 1,000 days as our current ROH Women's World Champion. This is something that many people probably would thought of, and I think it's time for someone needs to take that belt off her. That's what I think they should do. Now, by the time this video is already out, it already happened. ChocoPro has announced that Mochi Natsumi will be participating in their upcoming event due to the fact that Everett Connor, who is I'm not sure if the boyfriend or husband of Charlie Evans, apparently Everett got hurt and injured, and Mochi Natsumi replaced them. So let's see what happens from there. Now, many of you know this. There's been talk about a Street Fighter film that will be out some point next year, and I did mention that New Japan star Hiroki Goto will be participating as E Honda. Now, 2 more names have been mentioned in WWE from WWE that would be participating in the movie. Cody Rhodes has been announced that he'll participate in the movie, and his character is, of course, Guile. So that's going to be interesting. And then also it was announced that Roman Reigns will be participating too as Akuma. So we have wrestlers from both AEW and from New Japan and WWE participating. So that's going to be interesting to see. And then finally, this one was interesting. Many of you may remember not too long ago, Ryoko Sakimura, who was in Marvelous. Well, apparently she departed from the promotion. Now, officially, I never said anything that she retired or graduated. Apparently, the agency that she was in kind of tried to tell her she needs to stop wrestling. And recently, she just posted on her X account that she's returning to wrestling, which is good news. I mean, look, I don't mind the fact that she's a model. I mean, if she can wrestle, she can wrestle. I'm not saying she's the best, but I have seen her how much she's grown. And she just went on to X, and this is what she had to say. Let me pull it up for all of you real quick. Okay, this is what she said. Starting from September, fully returning and will do my best again. Adjusting for the pro wrestling comeback match, so look forward to it. In September, there is live events and pool photo shoots, and I also will go for gravure shoots. Also practicing action for the movie filming. announcements will be increasing after another, so stay tuned. So she's not only been doing modeling, in case anybody asks, she's going to be also wrestling, and she'll be participating in the film. So she's going to have a very heavy schedule. So let's see how things will go for her on this one. So let's wait. But as of right now, we are officially done with our reviews and updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Coming up, well, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. Now, of course, I mentioned time and time again that I'm going to try to catch up with the Yoshi promotions as much as possible. So we might do that on this particular next episode. So we'll see. Due to some circumstances, I may have due to some errands I might have to do with my family. I don't know, but we'll see. I haven't decided yet, but I'll see what I can do. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.